We tend to look back at ancient civilizations and assume they built their massive temples to beings they considered perfectly moral, that they prayed to these gods, believing they represented the highest ideals of justice, wisdom, and virtue. Then you read the actual texts. Look past the beautiful marble and epic poetry, and you find a record of abductions, betrayals, and systemic cruelty. These myths function as human confessions, constructed from the debris of our own failures. Strip away the lightning bolts and magic, and the supreme gods of mythology act as a mirror for three ways human leaders abuse power: the unaccountable ego, the cold rationalization of harm, and the paranoid fear of replacement. Officially, Zeus was the Greek god of justice. His most sacred domain was Xenia, the law of hospitality that required you to treat every vulnerable stranger with dignity and protection. That was the public relations image. His actual mythological record is a long list of transforming himself to hide from his wife, while he forced himself on mortal women. He used his position to take whoever he wanted, whenever he wanted, with zero consequences. Instead of condemning the act, classical art rebranded predatory violence as divine destiny. The assault of mortal women like Leda was painted onto vases and carved into museum walls, celebrating the perpetrator's power for centuries. The fallout never touched him. The mortals he targeted spent years suffering, while his wife, Hera, was left to manage the wreckage. She couldn't touch the king, so she became the collateral damage of his impunity, turning her rage on the only people she had power over. But his most revealing act of hypocrisy was the torture of Prometheus. Zeus chained him to a mountain to have his liver eaten by an eagle every single day for 30,000 years. Not because Prometheus was evil, but because he gave humanity fire, technology, independence, and the ability to think for themselves. He made mortals less controllable. Zeus is the ego of impunity. He is the template for what humans build when a leader's power has no limits, and the vulnerable are expected to accept their victimization as a natural law. In Norse mythology, Odin presents a different face. He is the wandering Allfather, the master strategist who sacrificed his own eye to drink from a well that granted him universal wisdom. That wisdom allowed him to see the future with terrifying clarity. He saw Ragnarok, the inevitable apocalypse where the gods fall and everything burns. And once he knew the end was coming, he used that knowledge to justify every atrocity he committed next. Take Valhalla. While often depicted as a reward for dying bravely, it was actually a brutal boot camp. Odin was hoarding human souls, forcing them to fight to the death every single day to build an army for a war he already knew he was going to lose. To stock that army, he needed the greatest fighters, so he actively started wars. He would build up a hero, like King Sigmund, guiding him to greatness, only to appear mid-battle in disguise and shatter his magical sword. He engineered the deaths of his own champions to force them into his ranks. Odin is the rationalization of harm. He represents the archetype of a leader who sacrifices their own people and sleeps soundly, completely convinced that their cruelty is a strategic necessity. Then there is Indra, the king of heaven in Hindu mythology. Unlike Zeus or Odin, Indra started as a genuine hero. He fought Vritra, a massive cosmic demon hoarding the world's waters, defeating him and saving all of creation before taking the throne. But the throne of heaven comes with a catch. The position of Indra is temporary. Anyone who accumulates enough spiritual merit or meditates deeply enough can eventually replace him. Knowing he could be replaced broke him. Whenever a sage meditated for years, accumulating power, Indra's throne would literally shake. In response, he weaponized the Apsaras, celestial dancers, sending them to Earth specifically to break their concentration and destroy decades of spiritual work. This fear of losing his status curdled into arrogance. When a village of cowherds and farmers chose to worship their local mountain instead of him, Indra didn't just get angry. He unleashed the storm clouds of cosmic dissolution, trying to drown their children and animals to soothe his bruised pride. He was only stopped because a young cowherd named Krishna lifted that mountain on a single finger, shielding the village from the king's rage. The ruler of heaven was forced to bow to a farm boy. Indra is the paranoia of status. He shows what happens when the fear of losing power turns a leader into the exact monster they fought. The god who became king by slaying a hoarding demon ended his reign hoarding the throne itself. The leader who takes to feed their ego. The strategist who sacrifices their people out of logic. The hero who destroys innocence out of a paranoid fear of losing their place. The ancient world used the concept of the divine to make their brutal, unjust realities feel inevitable. By worshiping these behaviors, they normalized the same patterns of corruption we see today. Today, these ancient archetypes remain the exact blueprints for how modern institutions, executives, and politicians operate when they completely lack accountability. The gods never lived in the sky. They were always a reflection of us. The only question left is, what modern myths are we telling ourselves today to excuse the exact same abuses of power?